Hey guys, welcome to day 49 of 100 Ways to Motivate Yourself. And I say this a lot because I'm completely honest with you guys as I'm reading this book, but today, day 49, is amazing. Okay, so I have to put that out there because there are some days that I share the reading of the day or whatever with you guys, and I tell you honestly how I feel about it. And on many occasions, I don't like them or they don't speak to me because it's not the lesson I'm currently seeking in my life. But this one is like my testimony, y'all, because this is one of the things that tested me that I stepped out of. And so I am ready to preach. You guys ready? Here we go. So day 49 is titled Remind Your Mind. And so the author starts out by asking, good morning, Chuck, good morning, Randy, by asking you, have you ever been like inspired or have you ever read a book and like you underlined something or you highlighted something and then like you never revisit that inspiration? You just close up the book and put it on a shelf and maybe one day you come back to that book and you see what you highlighted and you're like, wow, why didn't I put that into action? So I just think it really kind of opens up our minds to thinking about how, on a daily basis, we are given motivation and we're given inspiration. Just think about your Facebook feed. You see people posting memes or good morning, Denise, good morning, Jason, memes or inspirational quotes all the time. And what do? We might just share those inspiration. Good morning, Roxy. We might just share that inspiration or keep it on our news feed or, do whatever in the moment. But then we lose sight of that inspiration because let's face it, we go on to the next thing. Even though that inspiring word or quote really brought something alive in us. We felt it and then we just kind of dealt it and we were out, on to the next thing. And so what he talks about and what I'm going to preach on today is how to live in that and how to keep that going. So stay tuned because this is full good stuff here. So he says that what happens is we forget that inspiration because it's out of sight, out of mind. So what you need to do is get into the practice of reminding your mind. You need to place the inspiration into your life. It's not just for your news feed, as I mentioned before, but rather it's for your soul feed. Oh, isn't that good? It's not for your news feed, it's for your soul feed. So when something comes across your eyes or your soul and it speaks to you, hold on to it. Okay? I mean, like hold on to it. Write it on a sticky note and put it somewhere. And then we're going to talk about what to do with that. So like, for example, when I studied Spanish, I would walk around the house. I would take index cards, 3x5 index cards, my poor mom. And I would write out the word in Spanish of an item and tape it all around our house. Like, door, table, whatever I could do to learn the language. And that's kind of what he's going to teach us about here. And it worked, you guys. Solamente durante la clase de español porque yo no tengo una clase de español nomás. Because I learned Spanish. See, you can see that I only know solamente un poquito. I know just a little tiny bit, but this helped me because it trained my brain. Everywhere I went in my house, it was like Spanish Olympics, Spanish training, practice every day. So he talks about how when we come across inspiration, we need to surround ourselves with that inspiration. Or if you go to a seminar, oh, here's a really good thing he did in a seminar, and I'm going to start doing this, y'all. So if anybody's in one of my Sherapy classes or a workshop, this is something you're going to be benefiting from. This author, I'm going to start doing it. He talked about how when he was in a seminar, he was taking a class one day and it was full of nuggets. Good morning, Stephanie. Good morning, Craig. It was full of nuggets. And during the lunch, hey, Hannah, during the lunch, he sat down and started making notes of what it was he was learning. He folded those notes up, put them in an envelope, set his calendar reminder for 1 month from then, and he mailed that letter to himself so that the inspiration he learned that day in that class would not be lost and contained to just that day. He wanted to live it. So what that did was a month later, he got that letter and he opened it up and he was like, holy crap, this is awesome. I can't believe I haven't started putting these things into motion. So you can see that he surrounded himself and he reminded himself of the inspiration and motivation that only he knew. because, you know, what motivates you doesn't necessarily motivate me. So he reminded himself, and I thought that was awesome. So if you ever sign up for a Sherapy workshop, know that that's going to be a component of it. And he started doing this in his workshops, and he said that the feedback was amazing. Another thing that he did was, this comes back to Arnold Schwarzenegger. If you've been following me these 49 days, Arnold has been a part of this motivational journey, and I totally did not expect that. But Arnold Schwarzenegger told him a story about how his father had a plaque or a phrase in his house as a child growing up, and what it translated to read was, joy through strength. And think about how if little Arnold, once upon a time little Arnold, was surrounded by that phrase, joy through strength, how it affected his upbringing and how it manifested in his life and, you know, manifested in his success. So don't discount what it is that the author is teaching us here, because we see that it's actually worked for some incredibly powerful people in that example with Arnold. So good morning, Jennifer. So he asks us, are you willing to remind yourself or to treat yourself to your own best thoughts? And here's how to do it. To set visual reminders of your best thoughts or your best inspiration or motivation or aha moments by starting to step into living in your vision board, living in your inspiration board, keeping your soul fed by populating what is on your soul feed and not just your news feed. So for example, I'm going to show you guys something here. Hopefully you guys can see it. You'll see, you're in my bathroom, so don't mind the mess. Here is my vision board manifested into, you can't see it, so let me take you guys up there. I took my vision board and let me turn you guys around. I turned my vision board into my mirror. Like I put it all around my mirror because I want to constantly remind myself of the things that inspire me. For instance, you can see right here, be the mom you want them to remember. You guys, that motivational quote on a daily basis helps me to be a better mom because it helps me to think about, you know, how I want to show up differently for them. So what the author is saying here, and I'm doing this stuff, you guys, but what the author is saying here is, don't just get motivation and inspiration from a meme or from a phrase. Live it. Put it into your life. Insert it into your life. Put it in a place where you are going to constantly see it and you can't avoid it. You know, whether it's in your car because you commute the most or whatever it is, only you know what it is that motivates you, and only you know where you need to put it in order for it to, you know, basically be that you have to trip over it. I know. I look in that mirror every day for a long time to make this face presentable. So I know that this is the place I need to put it, because if I put like a motivational phrase or inspirational, you know, whatever, or my vision board, if I put it somewhere out of what I'm looking at on a daily basis, it's not going to help me. So I got to put it where it helps me. Some of the other things that I do, I'm just sharing this with you guys because I started doing this a long time ago as I started stepping out of my failure mentality. When I journal, okay, I know this is going to be backwards, but that's okay because then you guys can't see what I journal. When I journal, I highlight things. Like for instance, you know, like for instance, here's one that's right here. So I was looking for guidance on whether or not my Sherapy practice was really what God wanted me to do. And so when I journal, at the very top, I title it, okay? And that allows me so that when I go back through my journal, I can see, okay, here's an area where I'm feeling doubt again about Sherapy. Let me go back and get Sherapy guidance. Or here's one on, you know, what is peace? Or here's one on depression and stepping out of anxiety and depression and getting out of my antidepressants. So I kind of like make notes because I constantly live in that journal. So I put the inspiration into my journal in a context where I can't miss it because I learned something, I can go back to it. I put it on my mirror as my living visual vision board. Some of the other ways that I do it is, here's something else. For my motivation and my inspiration on a daily basis, I went through a training in January that completely changed my life, y'all. not only did like I totally become reborn in Christ and like learn how to really step into my full Christianity, but while I was in that class, I learned how to really manifest my goals, and they are happening. And that to me baffles me. And one of the ways that I did it, not too distant from what the lesson is today as far as reminding your brain and putting inspirational thoughts all around you, is on a daily basis, I had to start writing down my goals. And then on a daily basis, I had to revisit them. Now that sounds kind of tedious, believe me. But when I scheduled that and I made 5 minutes every day at night for a part of my PM routine and 5 minutes every morning as a part of my AM routine, just doing that for 10 minutes a day has allowed me to start living those goals, so that I start constantly being reminded of what it takes to motivate and inspire me. And then I'm constantly reminded of where it is I'm going. And so like on day one of this 100 days of motivation, I start living with the end in sight. I start living with the direction I'm going in. And this is helping me. I'm at that point now where one of the goals and visions I've set for myself was to start leading women's workshops. I'm starting to do it. You know, this is something I wasn't doing before January. I took this class, I got motivated, I started actually implementing these things. I started surrounding myself with the things that my brain needs to be reminded of to inspire and remind myself on a daily basis. And it's working. If it's working for me, the quitter, it can work for you. Let's see, what are some of the other things? Okay, so some of the things that I want to, where's my paper? Oh no! Oh, don't ask. Some of the things that I want to leave you with is kind of just the life coach in me, is, you know, if you're at a point in your life where you're not happy where you are, then you're not going to be happy where you're going. So you need to really figure this life thing out, this happiness thing, and realize that your happiness, the truth to your happiness, the secret to your happiness lies in what you are doing every single day. Your routines are the answer to your happiness, okay? I mean, seriously, what you constantly do is what you're practicing, and what you practice is what you get good at. So what the heck are you practicing? If you're not feeling motivated, if you're not feeling like you're inspired to achieve your goals, then you need to put on your damn auditor's hat, okay? And so this is what I mean by that. You don't need anybody to help you. You just need to start auditing your friends. Who are you hanging out with? Because you are an average of the 5 people with whom you spend the most time. So those 5 people you talk to daily, you're a product of them. How are you spending your time? We've talked about this in this 100-day journey. If you are watching TV and playing video games, you're a product of that. So start auditing how you're spending your time. What are you listening to during your commute or during, you know, your whatever? You're a product of what you hear. Those things shape and manifest in your thoughts, because what you hear is what you think. You're a product of what you're eating. You guys know this. So this is a good way to test out Sherry's auditing theory here. You're a product of what you eat. You eat those Doritos, you eat whatever, you're going to deal with inflammation, you're going to have swollen eyes the next day, the whole bit, you name it. You're a product of what you eat. So you know that. So you're a product of what you think. If you're only inspired and motivated by certain things and only you know what motivates and inspires you, then start surrounding yourself with different things like I've been doing here. Make changes in correlation to what you want to think and who you want to become. Think something new by surrounding yourself with inspiration and motivation. And just recognize that, you know, if you're a product of the 5 people you spend the most time with, then everything around you is creating you. So what is around you? Start getting curious about what you think, why you think the way that you think. And start realizing how much power and control you have to change that. So what you put into this kind of, you know, reverse psychology, if you will, you're going to get out of it. So start putting little inspirational quotes on your mirror. Start putting them in your car. Start practicing journaling and highlighting new things, and, you know, maybe come up with a motivation and inspiration folder, or notebook. I used to do that when I was first like seeking God and trying to find, what is life all about. I had a spiral bound notebook. And every Sunday, this was the only way my spirit was fed. This was just when the internet was starting. Yeah, I'm that old. I would have this notebook, and every Sunday Joel Osteen would come on, and I would record it, probably with my VCR tape. I would record it, and then I would listen to it, and I would take notes, and then I would play it back. This was before I had kids. I would play it back, and I would complete those notes, and I would, journal about it, and then I would title it, because a lot of times Joel Osteen's, ministry, whatever shows were titled, so I would title it appropriately. And then when I was struggling with something, I'd go back to that notebook. So I kind of created my own free motivational, inspirational book, if you will. Do whatever works for you. Only you know what motivates you. But at the same time, you also are the only one who can audit what is not working in your life. So start getting curious about how you're spending your time, what you're listening to, what you're eating, who you're spending your time with, who is breathing life into you and who is sucking life out of you. And start doing a cleanse on who you surround yourself with. That's not fun or pretty, but you don't need to make it anybody's business. You can just start slowly weaning yourself and stepping away from that. So just like you would put inspiration on your news feed, start putting inspiration on your soul feed and surround yourself with what it is that inspires you. Marinate yourself in it, because you're going to become a product of what it is that you're thinking. Your thoughts are going to become a product of what it is you're thinking. And the only way you can control what it is you're thinking is by controlling what you listen to, what you read, what you watch, all of it. If you think it's not going to have an effect, it has an effect. Okay? You know you are what you eat. So if you know that, then why wouldn't you believe me when I say you are what you listen to? Your thoughts are manipulated by what you hear and what you see on TV. If you're constantly watching crime scene shows or whatever, you're constantly going to live in a state of stress and worry, because you're teaching yourself to think that way. So just get curious about it. If you're not stepping into your greatness, make a plan to do it. But realize it's going to take concentrated and concerted effort. You can do it every day. In fact, you have to, because your future self and this world are waiting on you. So go and have an awesome day. Bye.